if I had to summarize this question, it's someone who's now in their 30s, like we are,
Mhm.
and they're noticing that their metabolism is slowing down, supposedly.
Right, right.
And what's like frustrating for them is, before they would be able to do like a workout like twice a week and they could see like weight loss from that. But
Yeah.
now they're like more active than ever. And it seems that they have stalled. And so their concern is, oh man, like when I reach this point, is this where I just have to jump into like super restrictive dieting? And so my question that I wanted to pose to you is, what's your thought process like, man, on when would it be time to adjust those calories? Like what are the markers that you look for? Because I know like we're gonna probably share a lot of them, but just
Right.
being able to talk through, it's like, how do you know like when you should actually do it, or like what would give you pause to like, hang on a second, we got to first like evaluate ABC.
I don't know this person, so it's hard to say. But like, my first inclination is that there's stuff that you're probably doing right now that's putting you over your calorie limit for the day. It sounds so simple. As long as I've been doing this, that almost always seems to be the case. And they may not even admit it to you, but you'll hear, yeah, I've been doing so good, super restricted. Then like you'll have a conversation 10 minutes later, they're like, yeah, I went out and had a couple extra beer, like, and you're like, couple extra beers, what goes with beer? Food. So it's very easy to see like, oh man, yeah, I guess I didn't count like that, like a couple candy bars I grabbed up off my coworker's desk, or that handful of nuts that was 500 calories I didn't add in, or that drink that I had that had calories in it, but there's a drink, I just don't think about those things. It's not that you have to be like super hard and restrictive on yourself. You just have to figure out like, is my problem or the thing I'm going through right now, like, is it a snacking thing? Is it, it's because it's typically not an activity thing unless you just like sit around your butt all day. Like maybe there is something to be said with that, but most time, if we can just look at how we eat, we can probably figure out like where our issue is or what's causing us like not heading towards our goal. So to answer your question real quick before I finish this, like if I'm looking at someone who's doing everything perfect over the course of 30 days, like we talked about that weigh-in trend, that weigh-in trend is not heading the right direction, not heading down over that like 30-day time span, that's when we'll look at like to adjust the diet. But if we look at that 30 days and it's not heading the right way, but then we talk and we say, well, I was only like consistent about 50% of the time. It's like, well, there's our issue. It's not that our numbers aren't correct. It's the fact that we're not following it correctly. And again, we're not looking for perfection. I have plenty of days that aren't perfect, but we are looking for the majority of time making the right decisions for our goals. And sometimes that's just saying no to things. Don't be afraid of the no word. Like it's not excluding it. It's just saying, I don't want that right now. Because that cookie's always going to be there, right? I mean, the bag of Oreos is always there. It's literally like one stop down if you have to have an Oreo. Like stores never close anymore, man. You're like, it's always available all the time. So to like beat it in your head that like, I've got to have all those right now. Why? Why? Like, do you really want them? Do you really want an Oreo like that bad that it's that yeah, like, oh, like I've got to have 5 Oreos right now? Or like, it's like, is it really worth it? Does it really taste that good past the first bite? I would venture to say no, but maybe you look at something different. So I think at the end of the day, it all comes back down to like, you've got to look inside and you got to be honest with yourself. Because if you're just lying about what you're doing to yourself, like you're not hurting anybody, like but yourself.
Yeah.
You're the one stalling your progress.
It's possible that 1 month might be good enough time. Like, yeah, at the same time, like 1 month might not be enough because of what you said. Like either you're not aware of like the calorie stuff, or we've talked about before, sometimes there's just like too much obsession with like scale weight. And like, do you have other markers to track your progress? Like, do you have like tape measurements, or are you able to notice like how your clothes fit? Or like, do you notice like your performance going up in the gym? Because like if you're still feeling like beat up, or like your sleep is lousy, or again, it's not just the calories, but if you're sometimes these things come in like threes, like inconsistent in like multiple areas, like we still want to applaud the effort. It's awesome. Like, you're on it, like you're trying to get certain things in order, but do we really have the full picture to say that you have plateaued?
You mess with one thing, like you could throw off everything else. Like your training could suffer, your sleep could suffer, like your social life could suffer, like because it's your life. It's not, we don't get to individualize, like group them. Like we don't get to like have them as individual stressors, they all stress on your life. And so if this is a miss, it's kind of hard to grab when my thumb's like not there all of a sudden, I'm, it's like I don't have the same, force that I might have. So it's just like in your life, like if you start messing around with one thing, it could easily affect like what you're able to do with all these other things. So get that one thing in order, or as best you can. Again, it doesn't have to get in order tomorrow. Some of that stuff's not going to fix itself overnight. Especially if we've been doing something in one way for our whole lives.